Well, hello and welcome back to the Smashy Business Show. I am Farah Bashir.
And I'm Richard Fitzgerald. It's the 15th of July, halfway through the month, Monday, start of the week.
Yes, it is. It is honestly, it's my birthday week and I'm freaking out about growing up, but it's okay.
It's birthday on Friday, is it?
It's on Thursday. So I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I'm getting older, which is, I love the journey. Of course, and as I am getting older as well, Dubai is getting older. So, because I still remember till this day walking or actually driving through Sheikh Zayed Road with my parents and seeing the Burj Khalifa still in construction, and I was like, wow, you know. And like,
you're rising with the city, Farah. So
I know
you're getting more mature and more wise and more successful as the city does.
Exactly. I mean, maybe I have. Coach, life coach. She said, you know, you can either be like the countries that say that they're going to be developing, or you can be like Dubai that actually says that they're developing and develop.
Develop, exactly, yeah.
And I just
walk the talk.
Dubai.
You are
literally. I think this sticks in my head forever. But of course, for today, speaking of developing, you guys, we're going to be talking about Dubai Mall sets a new visitor record with 57 million in the first half of 2024. Talk about a huge number. And as well, Saudi Arabia signs a 12-year deal to host first Olympic Esports game in 2025. Big thing for gaming. I mean, it's amazing. All of the gamers who actually thought, or people who thought that gaming is not a thing, well, you guys, it's a thing. And of course, as well, Riyadh Air and Delta Airlines forged deal amid boycott calls over Hamas badge incident. We're going to be talking about that in details very soon. But let's kick off with Dubai Mall. Actually, you know, before we do that, I want to talk about the Euro.
Yeah, exactly. So yesterday there was two huge sporting events. There's a lot going on. There was a Copa America final. We're very soon to the Olympic Games in Paris. There's the Olympic tour of the NBA basketball team. They were in Dubai Mall, and we'll segue into that as well. But what happened yesterday was in London, a Spanish player in the illustrious Wimbledon All England club won his fourth Grand Slam, beating Novak Djokovic in 3 sets in the final. Hesham, our producer, is cheering. Alcaraz is the new tennis star. He's 21 and he's got the world at his feet, and you love to see it. Novak, after his controversial comments last week, was very graceful in defeat, and he acknowledged that Alcaraz was superior, but that led to the final in Berlin, and so Spain won in the 90 minutes. They beat England 2-1. You know, we saw lots of supporters all around Dubai and all around the region watching this tournament. I read an article in the New York Times saying there was the Saudi Pro League was the most players in the tournament without having a national team in the tournament. There's 14 players from the Saudi Pro League. Shows the rise of the Saudi Pro League. And if you follow Smashy Sports on our channels, on our newsletter and on our socials, you'll see a lot of the players that Saudi this summer are again signing to make that league stronger. But you know what I kind of want to talk about the Euros and about Wimbledon is the price that you would pay for experiences. In the US, you know, the Super Bowl and things, these ticket prices go really, really high.
That's true.
But yesterday we saw the All England Club in England, $10,000 for a ticket. And God knows what people paid to attend the game in Berlin. But obviously, you know, to end 58 years of hurt and it's coming home and all that sentimental stuff in England, I'm sure people would have had a price on that, you know. And one of my friends said to me, hey, you really like tennis, you like Alcaraz, it's a defining moment, you should go. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but it's a lot of money, you know?
Exactly, was it worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? But you know what's really interesting, Farah? There's a guy who does, he's on Twitter and he writes emails, Pomp, this is a Twitter account, I can't pronounce the full name, but basically he analyzes the business of sports, and he compares Wimbledon with other things on commercial value. And if you look at the Wimbledon TV, if you look at the court, there's very few logos. This is the first year that Emirates have been the official sponsor of Wimbledon. But they really, really select, like, you can name Wimbledon sponsorships in one hand because there's only that many of them, and they're long-term partnerships. Rolex for timekeeping, Evian for water, and now Emirates for travel, right? There's very, very few. There's one or two more, but that's it. And they have their iconic stuff. And people say, hey, Wimbledon should make their court bigger so they can sell more tickets. And they refuse to because they want it to be prestigious. And he did a nice analysis showing the price of tickets in Wimbledon versus Australian Open versus the US Open, and the French Open, Roland Garros. And they all have more tickets. They all have more courts, they have bigger stands, and they also have higher price. But Wimbledon is still commercially really valuable because they make it exclusive. They're almost like the Hermes bags of tennis.
Oh, that's true. I agree with you, but you know what I mean? Like, I know that they might be too expensive, and some people might think, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? However, to football fanatics, of course, to them, it's like watching a game live is different than watching a game on a screen. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there's, definitely, if we're talking about money and the price of value and experiences, there is something to be said for experiences, right? Like Coldplay are doing a tour at the moment. Would you like to be there in person or listen to the radio?
100%.
or Spotify, and the Taylor Swifties, all that sort of stuff. Yes. So there's something about experiences. I think certain people are experience seekers and other people aren't. And I think there's something about it. And usually experiences have a premium price, so there's something about it. In terms of sport, look, I sometimes make a choice. Like I stayed in to watch the game last night because I wanted to watch it. I went to the McGettigan's Coca-Cola Agenda fan zone in Dubai last week to watch England's game against Switzerland. I didn't watch the Dutch game. And I loved the atmosphere. I loved 5,000 people. The game was poor. I didn't mind not watching it. But last night I enjoyed watching the game. So I think everyone's a bit different,
Yes, that's true.
And I, luckily in past, when I lived in Germany briefly, I went to the Berlin Olympic Stadium. That's the 1936 Olympic Stadium. There are two Olympic stadiums in Germany. There's one from 1972 in Munich. And since then, Bayern Munich have built a new stadium, the Allianz Arena, which hosted World Cup as well. But so there's two Olympic stadiums, but the one in Berlin is really old, nearly 100 years old, and it was at the time of the Hitler Olympics, and it's a very big old structure, and you're very far from the stadium, from the pitch. You couldn't, on the pitch last night, you couldn't see the running track because they covered it, but you're very far. And actually I thought when I was getting a ticket in my student days to see Hertha Berlin, I thought since it's so far away, let's get a ticket in the front row so you're close to the pitch. But the front row, the seat is a little lower because sometimes the people know football, like sometimes the pitch rises in the middle so the water can seep off. And if in Hertha Berlin, in the Berlin Stadium last night, when I sat, I was actually too low, So luckily the stadium wasn't full and we picked other seats. But so some of these things, like you can pay a premium, and is the experience enough? On stadiums, by the way, the Dutch game, sorry for people watching on the show, my eyes are very allergic this morning. Hopefully it's not affecting the podcast and audio. But for the stadiums, the one that England beat Holland in Dortmund, in the semi-final, that's a stunning stadium. It's old, but it's very close. It's very box-like, and it's just got an amazing atmosphere. So I think sometimes you have to factor in, if you're paying for the experience, what are you paying for? What do you value? Sometimes you pay an awful lot for a ticket, and you could go and you could be stuck in traffic for 2 hours, or so it's not all what it's made up to be.
I agree, but I want to ask you, who were you rooting for yesterday, Spain or England?
I'm Irish.
Yes, so, exactly. That's what I'm asking. I want to know.
I can't really ever admit, even if I can't ever actually, I can't ever consciously wish that England win.
I mean,
it's sacrilege. It's against my
guys,
forefathers.
This was a mastermind question. It was calculated in my head. I'm like, I want to ask. So
look, I don't mind. I'm neutral. And the best team won, and if England won, I would be happy for them. I'm not actually that strong against it, but I think it's a bit of rivalry. It's a bit of banter, but yeah.
But it must have been like moment. Spain won.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I watched the game and Spain were worthy of it, and it was a well-run tournament. Yes. Germany hosted the event well, and I think it's exciting that we can have more of these tournaments in the region. Let's jump, since we're talking about football and sport, let's jump into the esports, because the inaugural Esports World Cup a new event is running at the moment. We're about week 3 of 8 in Riyadh. Follow Smashy Gaming to learn all about that. But now a new thing is the Olympic Games. The Olympics have the Olympics. Then they have the Winter Olympics. So tell us about this.
So Saudi Arabia is signing a 12-year deal to host first Olympic Esports game for 2025, which is very exciting for all gamers. So it has successfully secured the rights to host the inaugural Olympic Esports through a 12-year agreement until 2037 with the International Olympic Committee. And this landmark decision underscores Saudi Arabia's ambitions to position itself as a major player in the global esports arena. And in addition to all of that, of course, it's a substantial of $60 million prize pool, and as well it's investing heavily in becoming a prominent hub for video gaming, aiming to diversify its economy beyond oil, which is very exciting because like their economy, they want to expand it beyond oil, and this is all as well part of Saudi Arabia's vision of 2030, which aims to transform the nation's social economic landscape, hosting the major sporting events, including, as we said, the esports, which is as well, it's a crucial part.
Yeah, this is a big one. They say the population of Saudi has 23 million gamers, half of whom are women, so it's a real demographic strength. I really like this. I think the Olympics have such a pedigree and a reputation of holding events, and I didn't know. I thought maybe esports would be part of the Summer Olympics, but it probably doesn't make sense. So maybe they're spinning it off as another event. It would be weird if we saw athletics in Paris and then somewhere else where there's esports. So it suits different climate. Like the winter sports obviously need snow and everything. So the Winter Olympics is a different event, always has a different venue. And now Saudi have done the World Cup, and people have clearly seen that they've done a good job in the summer. They brought the world's best IP games there and teams, and now they're doing this with a 12-year agreement, as you said. So it's fascinating. It's brilliant. I love seeing it. And maybe I was talking to some friends yesterday in the sporting world about the Tour de France is on at the moment, and about what it takes to get your nation good at a certain sport. And one of the people commented that sometimes it's a country program, so you need to change a culture. Saudi have never won a gold medal in the actual Olympics. They've won other medals. And how do you get Saudi to win an Olympic medal in gold? Will they win one in Paris this summer? We have the Saudi Games, which is how would I describe it? It's basically a mini Olympics in Saudi for Saudi nationals and others, residents. And they've been running it a few years now. Lovin Saudi and Lovin Riyadh were media partners last year, but it's a big event. It has an opening ceremony. It's run throughout the kingdom, a lot in Riyadh. And the whole idea, Farah, is to groom and to train young athletes and to change the perception, of course, with Vision 2030, and to get more people taking part and competing at a top level. Like, how would you expect Saudi females and males in the desert to compete with the other countries and the global athletes who've had national programs for years? But this stuff does work. I remember when I moved to London from Dublin in 2010, it was 2 years before the Olympics, and we went to a place called Loughborough University, and that's basically a training place for the future athletes. And in 2012, England in their home Olympics won loads of medals because there was a long-term grassroots program to train people. And inshallah, when Saudi does host an Olympic Games, they've got the 2034 FIFA World Cup, but if they did host an Olympic Games in the future, that they would have representation on certain sports. But what do you think? Is esports the place where we'll have Saudi champions, or do you think we'll see it in real sports as well, other sports as well?
I think, honestly, gaming has become very prominent, and as well, nearly half of the kingdom's population are female gamers. Yeah. A lot of female and women have been very, I would say, interested in gaming.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting because like esports, I think, will allow men and women to take part in all of that. And of course, like this deal, I think, is one of the biggest deals to ever happen. We talked about it before, and the more that we talk about it, the more that you figure out details about it, because they just want to, I would say, expand their economy beyond the oil all of it to align with their 2030 vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's wish them well and see how it goes.
Yes, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump to another story as well. That is as well related to Riyadh. I just don't want to, go from Riyadh to Dubai to again Riyadh.
So do you know what's interesting about this one? Like Riyadh Air is an airline that no one's been on yet because it hasn't had commercial flights, right?
True.
Yet we're always talking about it. So the ex-CEO of Etihad Airways Tony Douglas is now the CEO of Riyadh Air. Saudi have a few airlines. They have Saudia, the traditional national flag carrier. They've got FlyNas. They've also got Fly Adil and maybe one other. There was talks of an airline for NEOM. We're seeing the inauguration of the new airport for the Red Sea project. There's an airport in Al Ula. There's airports throughout the kingdom. And now we've got Riyadh Air. So Riyadh Air have had lots of positive stories. Recently, they partnered with Aisha, I think his name is, the Saudi Arabian fashion designer, and they launched a new flight uniform in Paris recently, and it looks really fancy. But last week, coincidentally, they signed a deal with Delta. So it's not unusual for airlines to have partnership deals for the sky, like Emirates have with Qantas and many others. So they signed it, but they signed it in the same week as the US, who love a hashtag boycotting airlines. They just love jumping on the customer service stuff.
That is true. And the thing is, like with cabin crew and people, they get a lot of slack for things that are not within their hands.
Yeah, so what happened was basically someone saw the Delta Airways. So Delta Airways is one of the main domestic carrier in the US, and they probably do international as well. But you've got United, you've got a lot of airways over there, airlines, and the US is massive. People hopping around different states, different cities all the time, and so basically. Someone tweeted seeing a Palestinian badge, a brooch on one of the flight attendants, and they basically said that's a Hamas badge, and they referenced 9/11, and the community manager wrote back and said we'd be horrified too, as much to say that the connotations associated with a national flag. So of course it was all sorts of wrong. Like the tweet was wrong, the reply was wrong, but also. To a degree, you're an employee in an airline. Should you really be wearing badges of anything? Should you be wearing? Because the reality is, obviously, it's a country flag, but there are political connotations, and it is a cause as well. People who are wearing the badge know that there are divided views, like we see across the campuses. But the reaction to this, the boycott Delta thing happened. And then they apologized, they took it down, they said sorry, and the guy didn't lose his job. But yeah, it was just the same week as Riyadh are signing a deal with Delta, so the timing...
the timing was really kind of like off, because Riyadh signed the deal with Delta when it was getting boycotted, so people are thinking that Riyadh signed the deal with Delta so it can maybe get it back on its feet. What do you think of that?
No, I don't think so. I think these deals take a few weeks to plan. I think that was a social media thing, and I don't think... Also, I saw some people saying that the reason Delta deleted apologized is because they're afraid of Saudi and this sort of stuff. I don't think that's the case. I think they could see that the tweet was wrong. It was a young person who probably didn't have approval, who probably did think of terrorism in the sky and stuff like that, and obviously had the story wrong and didn't understand it. And then when people looked at it, they said, well, this isn't right, replying in that way isn't right. But also, I like how there's a bit of maturity of this. I like how the person doesn't get fired. I like how the airline admit they made a mistake with the tweet and they apologize. Like, we've come a long way in sort of 15 years of social media crisis management. I think they've done a good job. And really, I'm not going to have sympathy for airlines, but they always get boycotted. We saw with during the floods here, people were attacking Emirates.
Oh yeah,
they were really attacking Emirates, and Emirates obviously did their best to deal with the worst rainfall in decades in the UAE, and there's certain things, right? So people really do attack airlines, and not that they're totally innocent all the time. But like, I think it's very easy to get frustrated and to boycott all the time. And like, do we want people to lose their jobs? Do we want the community manager to lose their job? Do we want the flight attendant to lose their job? Not really. But should airlines be more accountable for getting caught up in the politics of stuff? Yes, they should. Like, they shouldn't get caught up in this.
I feel like, honestly, boycott is it's a word that's easy on everyone's tongue and everyone has been using it. If anything pisses someone off, or maybe even if it offends them in a way, they go like, oh yeah, boycott.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's like cancel culture.
Literally.
Just instant.
It's like a professional cancel culture. It's just like a different word. However, of course, as you said, they dealt with it perfectly. And people are just like saying that, you know what I mean? The timing of the signing of the deal between Riyadh Air and Delta Air is maybe kind of like inconvenient. However,
where do you stand on this though? Because it's like bringing politics to the office. Like, imagine today, one of us is on the show and we're wearing a Palestinian badge, right? Do you think that you would be fired over that?
I think that if I would be fired, it's because maybe there is not much of understanding.
But do you think you'd be fired over that?
No.
No. Would your sister, who works for Emirates,
be fired? Oh my God. I'm sorry.
You didn't see where I was going with that one.
No, I didn't.
But no, I tell you what, the reason I say it like that is because I think Emirates is so well run.
Yes.
And I think people are so well trained there. And I think this is a thing, like, I think there's a flaw in Delta. First of all, the staff haven't been briefed on the attendance. Neither have they on the community management. So there's two areas there, right? The policies haven't been followed, if they have policies. And I think the policy shouldn't be not to trigger, right? Like,
True.
So, and they're clearly triggering, so they're being insensitive. Like, that is upsetting on all sides. And Emirates don't do that. So people sort of criticize Emirates, but they have such a good policies and they're so well run.
That is true. Honestly, I agree with you, but you have caught me off guard. You have put me in the corner and I'm just like, oh my God, okay.
I'm just saying, of your two sisters, you've got more freedom in the workplace.
I mean, I know that. No, my God. I do
joking.
have...
Emirates is really well run. Like, I really respect Emirates.
I love Emirates. I mean, my sister is like, oh my God, she makes it to seem like the best company ever because she's an interior designer. However, she chose to work with Emirates and she loves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So... why not?
But speaking of Emirates and airlines, like, we are really proud of our the Dubai national carrier. But also, it's not one of our stories, but Etihad's passenger numbers surged 40%, 8.7 million this year. Just to put these numbers, and we talk about Dubai Mall, the 57 million. Just put these numbers in perspective. The UAE does around 18 million tourists a year. There's 10 million in the country. And Etihad now are up to 8.7 million passengers, 40% year over year. Etihad were struggling years ago. Now they're making a comeback, and Abu Dhabi's making a comeback. It's great to see. And then, leading into our final story about Dubai Mall.
Dubai Mall.
So again, only 2 or 3 million people living in Dubai. How many times have people passed through the doors in 6 months?
Well, in 6 months, you guys, 57 million.
Wow.
57 million. And of course, this just like shows that Dubai Mall continues to strengthen its position as the world's most visited destination, which is... I would say, yes, Dubai Mall is amazing. You go there and you have everything. It's not only a place to go shop, it's a place to go and actually enjoy.
Yeah.
You want to go shop? Yes, you can shop. You want to go and have amazing dinner? Yes, and as of course,
they've got great cuisine there.
Yes,
really, really good food.
They have everything. They have Chinese food. They have casual dining and as well fancy dining.
Yeah, they've got nice sweet shops. They've got nice cafes. They've got an ice rink.
Yes, I mean, you can have everything. And of course, this all, you guys, I can assure you, demonstrates the appeal and effectiveness of its marketing strategies, which just like as well shows me that it keeps on, I would say the growth is notable.
Yeah, we talked before about
the economic challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Like they really have. It inaugurated in 2008, so it's nearly, pushing on about 16 years into it. They've got the aquarium. We'll do a story on Lovin Dubai today, but the NBA players who are doing the tour, the Olympic tour, they were practicing in Abu Dhabi and they passed by Dubai Mall yesterday. We've got some exclusive photos of them. So LeBron and crew. And, it is a place to go. And it's they are building it up. They're making it even bigger. They've got hotels in there. They've got all sorts of stuff. So that's Emaar. They've got You by Emaar, which is a loyalty service, and things like that. So huge numbers. Love to see it. And just to put it into context, UAE, Dubai has got 10 million people. There's 20 million passengers passing through Dubai each year almost. I think we're nearly at that number. And yet it's got 57 million. So it's not, I wouldn't say these are individual people. I would say that's in half a year. So you're talking about over 100 million visits a year, and probably more, because probably the busy season is sort of, the high, October, November, December. That's the height of it, isn't it?
That is true. Yeah. I agree with you. And as well, by the way, like the Dubai Mall is, other than the fact that it's known for its amazing leisure and amazing shopping. If you want to go shop, you go shop, as I mentioned earlier, but you can do everything there. And as you said, there's like a hotel.
Yeah, there's got so much lovely cinemas. Yeah,
for everything.
Kidzania, all this stuff. 105 million people last year. In the world of e-commerce, in the world of digital, people say that malls don't have a place, but this shows that malls have a place.
They do. They do. I feel like no matter how much it is now, I would say more trendy to shop online, but some people do prefer to go to the mall and see things for itself. And of course, when it's an experience like Dubai Mall, you don't go there to just like shop, because you experience the whole thing. And when you're walking in Dubai Mall, you are it's not just like a regular mall. You pass through the aquarium, you pass through the ice rink, you pass through, get ice cream. You can still have an amazing coffee with the fountain views, which is very nice. So that's why I think Dubai Mall has that big number. Yeah,
you mentioned the fountains as well. And of course, it goes on to Souk Al Bahar, where you've got Time Out Market, you've got other things. So there's plenty to do. And it's very sort of well designed, isn't it?
True.
There's accessibility. There obviously, now we talked about before, charging for parking there and things like that. But how it is the focal point near Burj Khalifa and how it connects downtown. It's a really wonderful asset for Dubai Mall, and well done to them, well done to their marketing team, and well done to everyone involved in that. So anyway, we have a busy week. There's a lot going on, even in the middle of the summer, and we'll be covering all the stories as they break throughout the week.
Well, this brings us to the end of our show, you guys, and don't forget, stay tuned after this short break, because we have an interview with the Muzz founder and CEO, which is very cool and interesting. I've asked some good questions.
MUZZ, so that's a Muslim dating app, and Farah had the honor and pleasure to interview the founder's name?
His name is, give me a second, his name is Shahzad, of course, and he told us all about the Muzz app, which is very cool. So
looking forward to that interview. That'll be available on the Smashy Business podcast as we are here. And again, I always shout out, follow the Smashy Business on Instagram at Smashy Business, and also the newsletter. I love the little newsletter. It comes in the inbox at 6:30 every morning, and it's a nice kind of short, snappy, snackable content. Gives the news as you want it.
Exactly. You can get like maybe a brief of what we're going to be talking about, or could be talking about, and you can watch the show.